starts now.
Okay, so good morning, welcome. My name's Paolo, and in this session we'll be looking at creating subtotals in Microsoft Excel 2010. So first of all, just have a look at our objectives. So by the end of the session, you'll be able to correctly create and view 3 subtotals using the data provided with the use of notes if required. So the structure of the session is as follows. So the session will last approximately 20 minutes in duration. There'll be a guided learning using a subtotals example, which we'll work through together. Then there'll be a hands-on group practice, followed by some recap questions just to consolidate our learning, and then finally there'll be an individual exercise. The handouts are available for you to take back with you at the end of the session as well. So what I'd like to do first of all is just to go around the room and ask each one of you individually what experience, if any, you have of using subtotals in Excel. So starting with Sarah.
I have very little experience of using subtotals in Excel.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit, but,
Yeah.
but you know, I'm not very confident with it.
No problem, no problem. That's the objective for today. Get you back up to speed. No worries. Brendan.
I look at a lot of data, and I know there is something that automatically does subtotal, but I'm having to input a new row every time and sum up the data that way. But if there's a quicker way, I'd love to know what it is.
Sure. So, bearing in mind that subtotals allow you to summarise large amounts of data very quickly, very easily, how do you think this could be of use to you? So, Brendan.
It means that I wouldn't spend an hour, 2 hours just every time I want a total for a range of data, having to put in a new row and do auto sum. If there's a quicker way, then I'd love it to know what it is.
Yeah, okay, no problem. Sarah.
Absolutely like Brendan. Look at tons of data and faff around with it all the time, trying to get totals. So I'm all for an easier way to do things.
Fantastic. That's what we're here for. Brilliant. Okay, so just to get us started off, on your desktops you should have a shortcut to spreadsheet called Guided Learning and Subtotals. So if you could open that, please. Yes, thank you. Guided Learning Subtotals. Okay, so subtotals essentially allow you to summarise large amounts of data based on groupings. And the subtotals can be created using a variety of functions, such as the average, sum, as well as others. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. So first of all, looking at your data, we're using a book sales example in this context. What order is the data sorted on?
Quarter.
Yeah. Now, why do you think it's important to actually sort your data first before creating the subtotals? Bearing in mind potentially, how do you think the subtotals will appear as a result of applying?
At the moment, it's going to be organised by those quarters.
Exactly, absolutely correct, exactly. So that's exactly right. Now, why do you think, first of all, why do you think we need to click in the data before we create subtotals? So why is it important to click in our data first? So what do you think would happen if we didn't click in our data and try to create subtotals?
Wouldn't work.
Exactly, precisely, hang on, exactly. So yeah, so if you just click in your data, if you haven't done so already. Fantastic. Okay, now looking at your handout, if you look at page 2 of your handout, please. So in the creating subtotals section in step 1, what tab do we need to select first?
Data tab.
Brilliant, okay. And that's it. Okay. And what does step 2 say we need to select next in order to generate our subtotals?
Subtotal.
Exactly. Good. Brilliant. So what's happened as a result of you having clicked on that button?
Menus popped up.
Exactly. Now, what options or what values do you get on the drop-down menu for at each stage in? Yeah. So what values do you get when you click on that little drop-down for at each stage in?
So all the headings for my table.
Yeah, so where are we now? Yeah.
Oh, right, I
Yeah.
see, yeah.
So yeah, so what do you think those values are referring to?
Yeah, the headings.
Exactly, brilliant. Now bearing in mind, if we wanted to group our subtotals by quarter, what would we select? Brilliant, yeah, so let's do that. Now, what are some of the functions available on the drop-down for use function? So what are some of the values, the functions you see on the drop-down there for use function?
Count,
Yeah.
average.
Bearing in mind, let's say if we wanted to sum up our subtotals, which would we use?
Sum.
Exactly, good. Now, in the Add Subtotal To section, which three options do you think we'd need to select in order to apply our subtotals to the different types of book sales?
Yeah, e-book sales,
Mhm.
hardback sales, and paperback sales.
Exactly, brilliant, fantastic, good. Okay, now, fantastic, good. Now, leaving the other options as they are, what would you need to click on now to apply those subtotals?
Okay.
Brilliant, yeah, let's do that. So what's happened as a result of you having clicked OK?
It's sorted all our data.
Let's put my rows in now and then after.
Exactly. Now, how many numerical buttons do you now see on the upper left of your worksheet?
These.
Exactly, yeah, precisely. What happens when you click on the number 1 button?
I'll get the grand total.
Exactly. What happens when you click on the number 2 button?
Order totals.
And what happens when you click on the number 3 button?
That expands them all out.
Exactly correct. Fantastic. Good. So, if you can just save your spreadsheet, please, and then you can close as well, save and close. And what we're now going to do is that's fine. So what we're now going to do is we're going to do a group practice. So what I'd like you to do, please, is if you can open up the group practice subtotal spreadsheet, and if you look at the last page of your handout, if you can just work through the practice section, and I'll just come round and assist and monitor your progress as you go through. So just give that a go. You can refer to the handout as well if you wish.
Okay. Yeah, that was very easy because it's only not time.
Sorry.
It's okay, no problem, take your time. That's fantastic.
Is that right? And then close. Oh, great, thank you.
Just follow with step 3. I need to do step 3.
This.
So which one is it asking us to select?
Oh, two, sorry.
Good. So you can save and close your workbook now as well. Good. So how did you find that practice?
Yeah.
Yeah? Fantastic. Right. So what we're going to do now is just recap session. So what I'm going to do is just to ask just a few questions. So what I'm going to do is ask a question, give you a few moments to think, then I'll just nominate each one of you just to answer it. Okay, so the first question is, why is it important to sort our data before actually applying subtotals? Brendan?
So that you are organising it by what you actually want to subtotal by, yeah, so you know what you're categorising it by.
Exactly, great. What tab and option did we select to actually create our subtotals? Sarah?
Some.
Yeah. So what was the tab we selected? So right at the beginning, we selected our
Oh,
data. What was the
Oh,
tab?
sorry, the,
Yeah.
the tab was, sorry.
It's okay. No problem, no problem, no problem.
Subtotal,
Fantastic, yeah. So what tab was subtotals under?
data.
Brilliant, fantastic. So what function did we use to create our subtotals? Brendan?
That was subtotals, wasn't it?
What was the specific function that we used? What function, what calculation did we use when we said use function?
Sum.
Exactly, brilliant. So as a result of creating our subtotals, when we clicked on the outline level 1 button, what did that display? Sarah?
All of the entire totals.
Okay, good point. Flip it the other way around. Level 1. So bearing in mind level 3, yeah, will display everything. What would level 1 display?
One part.
Yeah, precisely, yeah. So it would just be the,
First quarter.
think of the whole data. Think of the whole data. So bearing in mind the whole data at the end has got like a final calculation.
Yeah,
So what would it display, bearing that in mind? Level 1.
sorry.
That's okay, no problem, no problem. So bearing in mind it's just like, just the main total for everything. What would it display if it's no other totals except just the main total for all the data?
Just the total.
Exactly, yeah, precisely, yeah, just the grand total, fantastic. What does the outline level 2 button display? Brendan?
Subtotal.
Yeah, brilliant. And finally, what does the level 3 button display? Sarah? Level 3, you said it before correctly.
Everything.
Yeah, exactly, that's right, yeah, good, yeah. Right, so what we're now going to do is we're going to do an individual exercise. So, as stated in the objectives, feel free to use the notes if you wish, whether there is a tool. So, can you please open up the exercise subtotals spreadsheet? And again, if you look at the last page of your handout, and if you could just work through the exercise section. And again, I'll come round and monitor your progress in the system. Good. Again, you can save and close your work. That's right. So I'm delighted to say that you've all achieved the objectives for the session, which were, by the end of the session, you'll be able to correctly create and view 3 subtotals using the data provided with the use of notes if required. So, just to finish off, what I'd like to do is just to go around the room and ask each one of you how you will apply what you've learned today in the context of our subtotals when you get back to your place of work. So perhaps starting with Sarah.
Well, I'll be able to sort my data more easily.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting there.
Yeah, good, fantastic, fantastic. And thank you, Sarah. Brendan.
It's a lot easier than I thought. I always thought it was going to be really, really complex, but
Yeah.
it's going to save me so much time.
Yeah. Look how
No
many
longer
clicks you did.
I have to do an extra row and sum up. I can just use subtotals to do it for me.
Fantastic, fantastic. Good. So that concludes this part of the session. So in the next part of the session, what we're going to be doing is creating outlines in order to group our data. Thank you very much.